Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and I saw a comment in one of the videos I made yesterday discussing some basic things about brain chemistry, dopamine, addiction, and overeating when exposed to certain types of food for people who are genetically predisposed to addiction. And again comes along the typical peanut gallery response of, well, that's just lack of willpower. These people just like to make excuses for being fat. We need to stop making excuses, and people need to realize how lazy they are. And, this is one of the typical things you see inside the fitness community, and it's one of the things that bothers me about this community. I got involved publicly as someone who gives advice originally here on YouTube because I actually wanted to help people. Believe it or not, I wasn't really making hardly any money the first 50 or 100 videos that I made on YouTube. I certainly wasn't making enough to pay my bills by any means. And I did it though because I actually wanted to help people reach their goals. But you also see people in this community who seem like they get involved in the fitness world because they want to feel morally superior to other people. One of the same things I point out with some other things out there, such as some vegans, not all vegans, but various people do this stuff. They get involved in these things and heavily involved in these things and wrap their life around it as a way to feel superior, morally superior, and to have righteous indignation against other people, because if they're way fitter than everyone else, they get to tell everyone else how lazy they are and how better they are than those people, that they're morally better, ethically better because of their hard work and dedication, that it makes them a better human being. And I think these people genuinely, a big chunk of them, and I've actually seen a lot of them admit in the comments when this comes up, they don't want the whole world to get fit or in shape, because if they do that, they'll be just like everyone else and they'll lose their superiority. And a lot of people in this community don't want that. All right, that little diatribe aside, let's talk about what's really going on here. What people need to understand when we look at things like this and we discuss things like this, it's not about making excuses. It's about actually helping people find solutions that will work for them. Because let's really think about this. Do you think that outside of a very, very tiny percentage of obese people, that the majority of people who are fat wake up in the morning, look in the mirror and say, man, I love being fat. I love having a disgusting body. I love sweating all the time so that I smell bad and have to use extra deodorant and wash more often. I love that my knees and my ankles hurt. I love that my back hurts. I love the fact that if I keep doing this, that one day I'm going to be diabetic, have to be on insulin, and very possibly have my first heart attack at age 40 or 45. I really, really love being obese. I'm so glad that I'm fat and disgusting and unhealthy. Do you really think that's what these people say? No, of course not. People become obese, and particularly morbidly obese, through a series of bad choices without the expressed intention of them ending up this way. And oftentimes they make those bad choices not just because hey, I want to eat this food or whatever, because they see everyone else doing it. They see a lot of people doing these same things who aren't obese, and they don't understand why this person can get away with this. Why can this one thin person eat this food? It seems like they eat tons of this junk food and they're not fat. In fact, they're skinny. And they don't understand that there are differences. And this is what we're talking about. When we look at things like this, we're looking at biochemical differences that are going to cause bad choices for one person to not have as much of a negative effect, a very minor pronounced negative effect, and in another person, an overwhelming negative effect that sets off a series of events, a chain reaction of events that is going to lead to them gaining 50 or 100 unwanted pounds unless they correct that behavior. But until you understand the differences between people and what's causing some people to become far, far more obese from making the same 2 or 3 bad choices that another person doesn't really gain much weight from, until we understand the differences, we aren't addressing the solutions. And one of the most profoundly ignorant things you see in the fitness world, and I even see YouTube channels doing this, people who do become fit fairly easy with just by working hard in the gym and without making like some major choices with their diet, some things that other people can't do. I mean, you see people who just follow the if it fits your macros and they get away with their 3.5 Pop-Tarts every day, And they say this works for me, so it must work for everyone. And I just get in the gym 2 hours a day and measure my food and do this without realizing that their actual food choice with the Pop Tarts that they get away with might work for them, but it's not going to work with everyone else. Furthermore, they don't realize that some people are actually so busy with families and children and careers and other things that getting in the gym for 2 hours every single day is completely logistically impossible. It's just not feasible for them. And what they need to understand is that it goes beyond that. Let's say, for example, you do that as a person and it works for you, and you say, well, that would just work for everyone else. It's so profoundly ignorant of a statement that that person probably shouldn't be giving fitness advice. Their fitness advice is actually terrible because it's not accounting for the individual thing. And let's explain exactly what I mean. Let's say with that food choice, let's go back to that video we were talking about with the dopamine and the addiction and the need to eat more food later when you eat something like that. For one person, they can eat a set of foods and certain types of foods and follow a certain diet that they eat that way. They feel satiated, they feel full, they feel satisfied. They eat their little bit of a treat every day, their couple of Pop-Tarts, which, are nasty as hell. I don't understand why that's become the whole if it fits your macros movement. And they're good because they just weigh out their food and they're good to go. They feel energetic. They don't crave other foods because they got their little treat. And then other than that, they're eating clean, high satiety foods, no problem. They just eat their 3.5 Pop-Tarts that they weigh out every day, or their 3 2/3 Pop-Tarts, whatever their scale tells them to eat. And they're okay. They're energetic. They can train hard and they can track their calories. Well, here's the problem when you talk about, well, this other person just needs to track what they eat and get in the gym more and train harder. Well, what happens when you have a person who, due to their own insulin and sensitivity issues, if they eat those Pop-Tarts, they feel lethargic? If a person physically is lethargic due to a chemical response to a given food, how in the world do you expect them to get in the gym and train hard? Your diet is not going to work for them. This diet that this person who's really fit and in shape says, well, this works for me, you should do it too. They're not understanding that their diet, the exact foods they're eating, could make someone else with an insulin sensitivity issue tired, sleepy, lethargic, and therefore that's going to give them less ability, less drive, less motivation to go to the gym. No, those people need to be encouraged to find a diet that gives them energy, enough energy to get to the gym and train. And that's one reason we don't always recommend these starvation type diets, because they make you feel tired and lethargic too. You need to be eating foods that are going to give you sustained energy, and particularly people with insulin sensitivity issues or metabolic syndrome. Those people need to find the foods that do that, and it's most likely going to be either some sort of ketogenic diet or some type of high carb diet in which they're eating mostly slower absorbing, very high fiber carb sources with, again, lots of fiber and plenty of protein, so that they have a slow release of energy. They don't get tired, they don't get lethargic, and they don't lose their desire to actually be physically active as a result of the foods they eat. The food choices that you make will affect your ability to train hard and to be active and energetic and actually burn through your fat with physical activity. Those choices actually matter. And for some people, the foods that a lot of people are recommending are going to cause the opposite. So they're not being lazy, they're making bad food choices based upon ignorance. And sometimes those bad food choices are made because someone who's fit and healthy told them to make them. Well, that's giving bad advice. People need to be advised to find the foods that are going to make them feel full without feeling tired. That is what's going to get people to actually be physically active to burn it. The same thing when it comes to appetite. Some people who follow that other type of diet are going to say, well, then I feel good because I got to eat my one little treat every day. But you take someone who, when we look at that brain chemistry with the dopamine thing, that would actually be a really bad choice. That would fall into the category of making a series of bad choices that just cause you to be fat and out of shape. Think about that for a minute. If the data I presented on the dopamine means that if the people eating the Pop-Tarts, the next time they eat, they're going to be even hungrier than normal, and they're going to overeat more food at their next sitting than normal as a result of eating those Pop-Tarts, because of, again, the low satiety, the dopamine response in the brain, then the low blood sugar accompanying it, because they maybe have some minor hypoglycemia or insulin sensitivity issues due to the other previous bad choices and being out of shape before, or to genetics. Then those people are going to eat even more, and they're going to completely derail their fat loss efforts, particularly when it's combined with a situation to where those food choices make them lethargic and tired, not want to work out, and then the dopamine response in the brain makes them just want to eat more food at their next sitting. They're going to stay fat, again, due to ignorant advice and people giving them food advice that is bad choices. That's not about being lazy. It's about making uninformed, bad food choices that cause you to be too tired to train, to be too lethargic to train, and just make you want to overeat even more shit and get even fatter. It's bad food choices, not laziness, not lack of willpower. It's making uninformed bad choices. And by studying things like this, we can get information to help different individual people find out what those bad food choices are for them personally, so that they can develop tools and strategies to get into shape and lose fat and be healthy, that's going to work for them, not the thing that worked for this YouTube bodybuilder who's maybe never been in their situation and is genetically and hormonally different than they are. And that's what we're talking about. It's not about excuses. It's about helping people have the tools that they need to make good choices. But you know what? At the end of the day, I think a lot of people out there don't like that, because they really don't want the majority of people to be in shape, because they will lose their point of moral superiority if that happens. And again, maybe those people shouldn't be out there giving advice to other people regarding fitness. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.